Good afternoon. Today is the last day for the show of the year. I am Damita Chatman with Take a Stand. You can follow us on Instagram. You can follow us on Twitter. You can follow us on Facebook Live. Go to the Apple Store to hook us up. And anything that is said today is the opinion of the host and the guest and not my producer. So we need to put that disclaimer out there. Today we have Samantha Hudson, the newly elected from Fairburn, Georgia. And we're going to have her, we got her here today talking about the goals and the future of Fairburn and what she brings to the table. Samantha, I want to thank you for taking my call. And
Absolutely.
I'm going to give you a minute to introduce yourself, and then we're going to go on. I want you to relax. We're going to have some fun.
Yes. My name is Samantha Hudson. I am a native of Chicago and now a transplant of Georgia. I've been in the Fairburn community for 15 years. I've been in the state of Georgia for 17 years. I started out in Cobb County at Smyrna. My background is in social work, education, community advocacy, and I've worked both in Chicago early on in school advocacy as the local council school person. So I ran for local school council early on in my early years of parenting, and I actually won. That was my first political campaign that I ever actually launched and won. As a result of that advocacy work, it continued here with the schools. I worked as a PTA president to turn around Creekside High School. So that was one of my babies. My children attended Creekside, and Creekside went through a rough period of having 3 principals in 4 years. But I was determined not to move my children. A lot of parents moved their children to the north side. I didn't. I got involved because I believed in making sure that your children had the local school experience where they lived at. And for a mom, it was single mom. It wasn't convenient for me to take that route up north with my children. So I opted to stay here and advocate, and I did it by way of public service, which is all of the experience that I have is basically being a mom and being a community advocate. So community advocacy and ground roots organizing is my background. It's something that's been a part of me since I grew up in Cabrini Green in Chicago. So I come from very humble beginnings, and I understand the impact of marginalization on African American and brown minority communities. And so that's something that always have driven me to work in that capacity, to be a problem solver, not just being disruptive, because that doesn't get anything done, but being a problem solver. I love to travel. That's what I love to do. I love to travel, and I'm an avid writer, and I'm working on my book right now, hopefully to be released next year. And so this time I am working to relax and catch up on school activities that were kind of pushed behind. I'm completing my doctoral degree at Walden University in public administration with an active focus on research of a metro Atlanta school district use of school discipline and the impact that it has on minority youth, especially Blacks, youth academic achievement. And so those are some of the things that I'm working on now. And it seemed like everything that I've done over my life, even parental experiences with my children, has led me back to the source of community and, trying to be the problem solver. So I feel like I was birthed straight out the womb to do this work.
All right, all right. Well, thank you, Mrs. Hudson. We're gonna dive down. I know that you got elected this go round for city council. You also had ran for mayor in Fairburn. Tell me, what kind of what goals are you trying to set over there in Fairburn?
Well, the main thing that we have to do in Fairburn is be an inclusive government. And that's working with our community and making them feel like that they are part of the process by actually engaging them on the levels on how our government operates. When I canvass as a mayor candidate and as a council candidate, Nothing really changed from the time that I ran for mayor in terms of the wants and needs and desires of community than when I ran for city council. And so it's been a consistent voice that we don't understand what's happening in city government. Now, to the defense of city government, a lot of times, just not Fairburn, but across our municipalities, our citizenry don't respond, they react, and we're not proactive. And so, one of the goals that I have as a councilwoman is to make sure that I am engaging our citizenry on the level of educating them on how our government works and the importance of them being a part of discussions and processes. Because right now they feel like they don't have a voice. So you see this real reactive response when we have development occurring. And across, you see it, Damita, across municipalities, when something comes into the community that we don't want, then all of a sudden we're running frantically to try to resolve or stop it when those talks with developers had started early on. And a lot of times we don't pay attention until the development is coming. So I want to bridge the gap in that and making sure that we have systems in place, just simply town hall meetings, making sure that we have a base of communication going out to our community, not just putting up a sign saying that we have a zoning hearing or a hearing is coming, but we get a lot of text messages about events. Let's utilize some of that communication to send out to our citizen poll and say, hey, we have a public hearing coming up, or we have a developer with interest in meeting with our community. Attend this meeting on this day. Simple things like that.
Right. I agree. I agree. Let me ask you a question.
Yes.
Because I see you're gonna be a great politician. I see that already. Politicians, they love to talk, and if you don't stop them, and they'll take over. And sometimes you have to wonder, is y'all just talking to talk, or y'all just talking? Let me ask you a question. I followed your race over there in Fairburn, and I know it was a little nasty over there. What I like about you guys' race, it comes out to, and it was 6 people in the race, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and it come out to the top 3 go-getters. You don't have a runoff over in you guys' city.
No.
Okay, so you came out one of the top notch that they didn't think that we're going to take it over the hump. Can
That's
I
what
say
they
that?
thought.
Okay.
That's what they thought.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. Now that you're here, how are you going to be able to sit down with the rest of the council at swearing in January to come together as a whole?
You said as a whole, which is key. It takes all people, willingness. And so I'm open and willing, because collaboration in this work, you can't get it done without collaboration. That's the bottom line. And so I'm open, and my platform has been very transparent that I'm gleaning the work that has been done, as a new council member coming on from those who are there already. I've studied now for 4 years Fairburn's government and city council meetings, so I really know the background of our government structure and where we should be headed and where we are now. So it really is going to take, all of us. I'm open. I'm open to the fact that they will be open, but I'm not, dismissed or dismayed by the fact that some may not be open. But see, there's a framework in place on how we work as council members. No one has to be friends with each other to do this work. Our framework is our charter, which is, you heard, I am total in disagreement with the charter remaining where it is, but there are governance structure and principles in the charter in which we use to make decisions.
Okay, let me stop there. Let me stop you with the charter, because I know your charter is a strong mayor, and he runs as the CEO of the city.
Yes.
And the council follow him. where in other cities you only have Fairburn, Palmetto, Atlanta, and a city down in Macon, Bibb County, that has strong mayors, weak in the council.
Right.
Okay, so as being newly elected, do you think that the mayor should have full power on the control of everything? That's including the CEO of the money, where they have control of everything. Do you think that the charter need to be updated? I know your charter is very old. Do you think your charter need to be updated?
Absolutely, because there has to be a balance of power. We have a balance of power structure in our country. Sometimes we don't always agree with how that power grid rules or in who in favor, but that structure is in place. And so to have a charter that's in place that does not give balancing power or does not identify the citizenry and the makeup of our community is illegit. We have to change.
And I know your charter. I didn't do a lot of research on your charter, but I know your charter is way over 30 years plus that has not been changed. Is that correct?
19, that's correct. Installed 1854, updated 1925.
Okay, well, anything need to be changed that long? You don't even it need to be changed. Just I'm gonna leave it like what I wanted to say. It need to be changed. Everything need to be changed. It just need to be changed. So let me ask you this. What area, let me go back. What one area would you tackle on day one coming on the council?
It's going to have to be that charter.
Okay.
It's got to, because when you look at a charter and the purpose of a charter and how it directs the day-to-day operations, how development, how zoning is done in our community, and how it instructs, our citizenry and guides that. A lot of it is so antiquated and outdated. So a lot of what's not happening for our town is based off of our charter. And so in right of the developers, our charter fits right for our developers. But we also, Damita, I'll say this and I'll let you ask your next question. We have ordinances that guide planning and zoning that's not reflective in the charter, that have been improved, along the way. So we got two different separate documents. What are we doing?
Okay, so let me ask you. Listen, I'm gonna stick with the charter for a few minutes, because back in 1952, that kind of got me right there.
1925.
1925. So I'm going to say this, and this will have nothing to do with the elected or the producer. When this charter was formed, basically, it catered to the other people and the slave mentality, where at that time we were on their plantation. We're off the plantation now. So the charter need to be changed, unless you still have the plantation mentality that's running that charter. That's me. Do you agree?
Right. There is a provision in the current charter that says mayor and council shall maintain chain gangs for the purpose of employment. We also have a provision in the charter that if anyone wants to assemble more than 25 people, you have to apply for a permit with the city. So if you want to protest in the city of Fairburn, if you want to assemble and you have more than 25 people, you must have an approved permit issued by mayor and council.
Okay. So that means if y'all don't want them over there protesting, then they can't protest.
They can't protest. But
okay,
the United States Constitution, the U.S. Constitution says something different.
Yes, it does. So I'm gonna stay from over there protesting then. So let me
You're gonna go to jail.
let me ask you a question, Samantha. You have some projects that's coming to the city of Fairburn. I have to give a shout out to the former mayor Hurst of getting that Main Street corridor started, and it looks great over there with what I've saw. Uh, what do you think should come to your city besides a warehouse? And you guys don't have a lot of warehouses, but what do you think? Because so many people is caught up on these warehouses. What do you think should come to your city?
Well, correction, we have a slew of warehouses.
Okay.
Now
Okay.
29. We got a bunch of them, and we have a
Okay.
bunch of them coming up right now. Uh,
Okay.
I think that we have to focus on our small business model because Fairburn is that small hometown and that bedroom community. And we are 74.1% African American. So we have a really great opportunity right now to maximize that dollar, that tax dollar. And we can run the market by doing so. You know, Ma and Pa restaurants is going to feel and feed to our citizens. You know, they're going to know what it is that we like, even with clothing and things like that. I think more small town focus instead of over the corporate businesses, because the corporate business, you can't control what they invest. Once they come in, they're here. And if you don't have a corporate social responsibility policy and plan in your ordinances, they pretty much do what they want to do. I think Fairburn is going to get the biggest bang for its buck when we start bringing in those small businesses, giving small business incentives, and that's what's going to bring the economic boom. Because rooftops alone don't get it. And in Fairburn, the building right now is hazardous because our infrastructure is so weak. But we're constantly building communities and not improving our infrastructure. And we have to have a balance and leverage the playing field on that.
So I hear you. Do you have do you think that it should be some white linen uh places in Fairburn?
When you say what, yes, of course. And to be absolutely honest, we got one there already. It's a hidden jewel, the dining experience. It is a
Okay.
hidden jewel. Excellent food, excellent service, beautiful ambiance when you walk in. It used to be King's Donuts, where King's Donuts used to be in Fairburn. It's there now. And so yes, we can have white linen dining right here in Fairburn. I believe they have white linen dining in College Park. I believe they have white linen dining in East Point. You know, those smaller jewels that we have there. And then when you have a town like Fairburn with the predominant African Americans, we have hairstylists, we have so many opportunities to get them involved in the small business, like open up a salon suites here in Fairburn. That's the type of development. I would like to see how we utilize the transportation and infrastructure grants to connect it to the airport. We are a huge airport hub now. The executive housing, if we entertain that, we should go after and target Delta, our pilots, our airline stewardess, or our young college students who are just not ready at the moment to just buy big single family homes, but we'll have a development that interests them as well. But we got to be smart about the building of rooftops now because our infrastructure is so weak and we have extreme amount of development occurring and we have water issues over here in Fairburn. So we got to be real smart with how we move with the land that we have left.
Okay. Let me ask you a question, and I'm gonna put you, since you the newly elected. How would you, because sometimes we have council people that don't want to work with other council people across the aisle. How would you bring structure to all 7 cities in South Fulton, working with different council people?
Well, you know what? You got to have a framework. Why were we elected? Were we elected to be friends or were we elected to be public servants? And I'm real stickler on what the purpose that I've been elected for, focusing on that. We all regionally have the same issues that are occurring. And I think we can come together based off of those issues and glean off each other, bounce ideas off of each other. If South Fulton is being successful in dealing with water, then why shouldn't Fairburn council members meet and sit down with South Fulton Council and its people to identify the ways that we can work together across cities to resolve this problem? Because water flows through the pipes across cities on this south side, all
Right.
of them.
And,
So yeah.
And let me say this, South Fulton is not in the water business. We get our water from the city of Atlanta.
We do too, but we're in a
Oh,
water authority right now
okay.
that was constructed with Union City, Palmetto, and Fairburn to resolve having to purchase water from Atlanta. But we have not remedied that at all at this
So
point.
so basically that's a show all to itself right there.
Yeah, right there.
It kind of, when you said something about the water, it brought to mind of Detroit.
Yes.
That's and I say Detroit because I'm from up north, and I knew that they had a water issue up there that was all over the news. So when you said that, that's what about. Let me ask you a question. When you become elected official down here, you go to the GMA and you learn all your good stuff and what you're supposed to do and how you're supposed to carry yourself. Um, I'm going to ask you this question, and I don't want you to get in your feelings when I ask you the question,
Go ahead.
because you know I'm going to call you or I'm going to call you out. A year from now, you got 4 years on that council. Is that correct?
That's right.
A year from now, will I see Samantha Hudson on this on the news, acting out scandals? I'm asking you this question.
No, I can't prevent from going on the news because people can report whatever they want to report,
Okay.
right? But in terms of acting out, no, I'm not. That's not my character. Now, am I assertive? Am I forthcoming? Do I shoot straight from the hip? Yes, I do. Okay. But am I someone that don't understand decorum and professionalism? I think, let's take me out of this elected role first. I have been in seats and working now in a community where all eyes are on me. And I believe this last 3-4 years that people have come to know who I am across the cities. You've heard conflict, but you also did not see Miss Hudson act out.
No, I didn't.
Give people that type of power over you. We're here to do the bidding for the people. And when you get to a place where, I'm not going to say it's not going to be hard, it's not going to be difficult, it's not going to be frustrating at times. But I live by a saying that you could be angry but sin not. And so I can be angry, but my anger normally turns into empowerment. I'm very competitive. I get more focused on making sure that what you said was a no becomes a yes by the people because it's the right thing to do.
Okay. Well, I'm going to say this. I didn't know you personally, Samantha, but over the last, I say 6 months, especially during this race, I got to know the Samantha Hudson.
Woo, baby.
I got to know the Samantha Hudson where we would talk and, matter of fact, I came out and endorsed you.
Yes, you did.
And I knew I was going to get a little heat, but I follow the spirit and I let the heat just do what it do. But I had to give Samantha Hudson a chance. And sometimes, Samantha, do you think that sometimes people get in these seats and they stay so long that they think they own these seats and they can't be removed and they don't want nobody else in the seat but them? They feel like they can die in the seat. What do you think about that?
Well, firsthand experience in running against incumbents, I can absolutely say yes. And I don't want that. I want for my time to be my time. And when it's time for me to move on. And see, let me share something with you, Damita, that people may not know. When I ran for city council this time, I ran with a huge burden. I kept it in my gut because I became familiar with having a flexible schedule, traveling when I want to travel, doing what I want to do, making my own money, which I continue to make my own money, and being my own boss. And so to not give that up, but to add another responsibility as being a councilwoman, now it toughens the stake for me. You know, I take this as serious. And so you got to have boundaries and you have to have balance. And I love having my time to myself. And so my focus is about the work. I'm like, come get this work. If y'all ready to do the work and get results, then let's do it, because I'm a champion of that. Here's some examples of that. I taught for 5 years, 4 years at Atlanta Public Schools, 1 year with Fulton County School System. My last year with Atlanta Public Schools, I left with 100% growth of all ELA students who were diverse learners. Those were students in special education. So that means coming into a classroom after the pandemic ended, and now we're face to face dealing with loss of learning or delayed in learning. My students were able to progress throughout the entire year, and we had 100% growth. Another example is as a foster care supervisor in Fulton County, I had the highest permanency rate, which means that I worked as a leader and guiding my staff and in making sure that we had children in a permanent living situation in 12 months or less. Okay. And so I pride myself on getting positive results in our community, because as a social worker, that's the heartbeat of who I am. Understanding the micro level of interventional, the meso level of interventional, and the macro system levels. And when you understand that as a leader, getting in a role as a council person, I already know what policy is and how it's impacted our community. Now at the municipal level, what can I do along with my peers to make a greater impact on the city of Fairburn that moves us forward together? That's my focus.
Okay, let me ask you, because you just said something that I was going to ask you, because sometimes my understanding that the council is to set policies and procedures, and that's it. Do you agree with that? That's a yes or no?
I agree. No, I don't agree solely with that. No, not completely.
Well, tell me why.
I believe that the sole purpose of we ask the legislature to be for make sure that we're fiduciary responsible. But we also have to make sure that we are engaged with our citizens and knowing what it is that they want, because we don't have a municipal government without the taxpayers. We don't.
So let me ask you, you have a senator, and I think you have 2 representatives in that area. Is that correct? You have one Congress, a senator.
We have a senator, 2 rep. Yes, we do.
Okay. Tell me, how are you going to start working with your representatives and senators under the Gold Dome, getting bills passed on day one?
Community conversations. Let's first stop, identify who they are, what are the legislative agendas, and how do they impact Fairburn. If their legislative agendas are not directly focused on Fairburn, and there are some needs for Fairburn that can be legislated through them, then it is important that I reach out to them and set up a meeting and start talking to them about what that is and getting them to our community. See, I don't want to do this alone. Our community has to be right there with me, with our legislators. I think a lot of times we become elected officials and we believe that we only have to be in the room or at the table with other elected officials. But the way we get the biggest bang for our buck here in Fairburn, the way we identify policy that's going to work for us, is that I need to talk to my my citizens. Our local businesses have concerns. You know, we have a lot of issues where people see Fairburn as two cities, and mainly working to get that charter approved. You got to work with your legislators because that's done at the state level. Working to identify additional funding that came in from the federal government that may have not been dispersed or allocated to the cities, you got to work with your state officials to get to it. Because Georgia has a huge surplus of money that came in from the Biden administration that has not been dispersed to our municipalities. And so I'm going for the bag where the money is.
Okay, let me ask you this, and you don't have to answer this, but in the past, and I did some research, you say you 74% of
African American
over there, okay? And your police department is basically a whole different color.
Our leadership. Our leadership.
Your leadership.
Black or non-black. There are no non-black right now serving in law enforcement and command.
So what about your fire department?
We have diversity. We have a black fire chief, and I believe we have a white fire marshal.
Okay. So you tell me out of a city of 74% is no black folks on the police department that qualified over there?
Well, 2 years ago, we had diversity in policing. Although we had a white police chief, his second in command was black.
Okay. So you're telling me, and you don't have to answer this because I did the research, after the new mayor came in, all this changed with the leadership roles. Is that correct?
Seemingly, that's what it looks like.
Okay.
Seemingly, that's what it looks like.
Okay. And I want to make this clear. Damita Chatman is not prejudiced, but I believe that if you're 74% or 80%, even 50%, you should have some diversity in leadership. And that ain't saying just the black folks. That means you can have some Asians, some all across the board. Just not, and I don't believe in just having a black city either. So let me clear that up, because I think sometimes when we have that, sometimes we cause our own problems. Just look over in my city. So let me ask you something, Samantha. Let's talk about your zoning and so forth over there. What do you see have taken place over the last years you've been there that needs changing with your zoning and so forth?
Follow the rules.
Okay. Do you believe that elected officials, your council, or even your mayor should strike deals, backdoor deals with your developers?
Absolutely not. But I want to clarify a statement. I want to clarify something. I want people to understand. It's not illegal for any member in the government structure to accept a donation from a developer. If you are in a voting capacity, you accept the donation. That measure that comes before mayor and council, that member of council who accepted that donation from that developer cannot vote on that measure.
Absolutely.
Right? So mayor does not vote on any measure at all. So the mayor is open to accepting donations from any developer, right? Mm-hmm. Here's my position. I'm very uncomfortable with the type of development that is occurring in our city. And I'm moving forward with a new initiative of my community to ask that if you want to see the mechanism of change that we have, that we need, invest directly in your council persons. Do you know Fairburn does not have a legislative or budget line item for community engagement for its council. So a lot of the things that I will do in terms of community engagement will be building sponsorship and collaboration, across our region to get the resources and support that we need here.
Okay.
I don't want to accept any donations from our developers. I want my community to have the free will, if they want to invest or donate directly into Samantha Hudson.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay. And I'm going to say this again, the disclaimer, these questions are just questions that we're talking about. It's not throwing shade at nobody. It's just questions that we're talking about. We're coming straight off the cuff. We don't have any papers. We don't have questions. We're just having a conversation of this newly elected official that's going to be representing Fairburn starting January. Let me ask you this. Do you guys have transit coming through Fairburn?
We have MARTA now that goes from it's then going down 29 because it's catering now to those individuals who are working in the warehouses. And let me just share with you my sentiment about that. The fact that we had to have transit to MARTA transit to accommodate those individuals who are employed in the warehouses in Fairburn tells me that our warehouse executives have not interacted with this community to get people involved with employment and the warehousing. And that causes a disconnect right there in our community. The work, live, play that Fairburn should have, we won't have it if we continue that way. Now we got transit for warehousing, but we don't have transit for the airport, which would be a mecca money for our city. We also have CSX, who has not invested back into our community. So we have a gold mine right here of opportunities that we need to engage.
Okay, let's talk about the CSX. That's that train that stops on the track on 29 and
Yes.
sit there for hours and hours.
And they've gotten better with it lately. I haven't got caught up, but yeah.
Oh, well, good. Fairburn go down towards almost to Fayetteville. Is that correct? Off of 74?
Yes, because you got Fairburn, Union City, Fayetteville, South Fulton coming down that 92 area. So you could be in either one of those cities.
Okay. And that's you have the largest private school that's in Fairburn also.
Yes, Landmark.
Okay. Let me ask you, you also have the military college. Is that correct?
Yes, we got it. We have that structure there.
Okay. Is it still military college, Max?
I don't believe it is. Right now it's being identified as the Fairburn Education site.
Okay. So I hadn't did no research on that. So Fairburn is doing educationals out of that building then?
For Bunau used to be in there. I'm going to be honest, I have to do a little bit more research to focus on what is the utilization and the purpose for that building, because it is a bond public entity, public purchase with that building. So let's stay that question for a later time so I can really make sure that I'm giving the right information on it.
Do you think they're big? Because I know they're going to be building some houses down there and it's going to be some more business. Do you think that you guys should kind of look at the infrastructure?
Yes, like yesterday. It is just not safe to continue the massive construction that we have going on right now in Fairburn. When I say massive, it's major construction going on. And there was just a new one approved, and I'm sure they'll start clearing land probably before the new year on Giant River Road to put up 109 townhouses on 13 acres of land, which was very contentious and conflict for members of our community that live in that area and members of our community that have to drive their children to school in that area. So that particular development right now has caused some division in Fairburn.
Okay. Do you think it should be a moratorium put in place to stop some of this building of homes, townhomes, etc., until they get the structure, the roads together? Do you
Yes,
think
I think it would be a safe move for Fairburn to adopt a measure to put a moratorium on all major construction that has not been approved, because we don't want to get sued. Whatever they've let through the gate, they've let through the gate. But we're going to have to take a hard stop, even if that's possible. I don't know what the legalities are that, if it has to stop in the middle of construction, which would not be favorable for those developers or the city. I don't know what the liabilities would be. But we need to entertain a measure where we are working to build our infrastructure and finding the funding and the dollars to build up our infrastructure. So people are living in $450,000 homes when there's a boil water advisory and they turn on their faucet, they don't have brown water coming through their faucet. Or we have brand new homes coming up in subdivisions being created where there's been no transportation study done. I'm just curious about a lot of things I really don't want to say on this particular live, but in terms of building up this infrastructure and our improving, viability in our communities, we need to. Our piping is old. Like our utilities are suppressed. So every house that's built there's been no expansion on our grid for utilities. So all of that is now on the same water line that's coming through Atlanta watershed.
okay? And again, this is the disclaimer. Just questions I'm asking. I've never had the opportunity to sit down with Mayor Avery. Really don't know him, but just know that he's Mayor Avery, and when we see each other, we greet. But just having a conversation with him, I've never had that conversation with him, and maybe one day me and him can sit down and I can interview him. I think I had him on the show, but it was on a different note. I think I did. So I take that back. Let me ask you a question. Um, Sometimes people don't understand that they don't understand the city council role and the school board role. Who is your school board representative in your district that you represent?
Francesca Warren is, I
Okay.
believe, our rep, as well as the president is Dove.
Okay. Got you. So I'm quite sure you'll be sitting down with them also on that. What is your crime rate over there in Fairburn?
Increase. The crime index has increased. I didn't look at the recent one, but it
Okay.
has increased. And one of the things that we're looking at is the increase of crime of ages 12 to 15. How I know? Because I have grandchildren in that age group.
Mm-hmm.
That our youth, our good students, that they getting caught up in just little foolishness stuff, mischievous stuff in the
Okay.
neighborhood. So we got to improve on how we engage our youth. And I think there needs to be some talk about what youth development looks like versus what youth programming is.
Mm-hmm.
They're two different things. And youth development will not just be just the responsibility of the city of Fairburn, but the responsibility of the city to make sure that we build strong collaborative networks and partnerships with those agencies who do host youth development. We need that.
Now I'm going to say this, and this is a yes or no because I travel that road often, and I've noticed in the last maybe 2 years, boy, it's considered a speed trap. You might have polices sitting at sometime every other intersection, hid all back in the trees and cut off like a speed trap.
Mm-hmm.
So what is that about? Is that trying just to collect money because people's coming through Union City or the traffic? What is that? What do you think that's about?
Well, and these are just our personal thoughts, our opinions. Uh, I think that shows a lack of focus on identifying other economic resources to improve in our city. That's what that is. Because when we start relying on traffic tickets to bring in revenue, and there's so many other opportunities that we can bring in revenue in our cities. Let's start with one thing with the businesses. Like, we should have a monthly marketing plan for the businesses to market their business out with their signs out, their signage out on the roadways for a fee. We could collect money for that. We charge them for that. You know, uh, the old saying about those traffic stops, Damita. I just think just even growing up in the north, coming from Chicago, certain times of the month and during the holidays, the traffic stops increase, and the ticketing increase because that's the money.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. What is the income basis over there? What is the income?
We were at, I believe, 55,000. Let me look at that.
Okay,
Median income for Fairburn. We were at that medium income for Fairburn.
okay. Do you think that?
Oh, we're up now.
Okay,
We're up at $72,000, which is not bad at all, because in 2021 we were at 58,000. That's why I said we've been between 55, yeah. And so we've increased
okay,
$72,000 a year. That's good. That we,
okay.
we need to get that up a little bit higher, because that will then in turn, if we have a selection of corporate businesses that we want to bring in, then we need to be real selective of who they are now.
Okay, let me ask you, because this is going to be a hot topic, and my understanding, I think I might be wrong, but I think they're under the gold dome right now, or going to be coming in on the 29th, talking about the redrawing these lines. So therefore, we're going to pick up, I think, maybe about 7 seats, and the lines are going to be changed. Do you think that your lines will be changed over in your area too?
Well, I don't see why not, because we were part of the redistricting that got us a seat, another representative. So I'm hoping that it will impact us in a positive way, where we will pick up the extra congressional seat here and maintain our representative, because we have a great representative here in Fairburn. And I think that, working with her is going to really, really be key coming up next year.
Okay. Well, I asked you this question over the phone, and I'm going to ask you publicly, and I believe that you will probably give me the same answer. How do you feel about working across the aisle? With the Democrats, Republicans, Independents. How do you feel working across the aisle to get what's needed for the city of Fairburn?
Well, I'm nonpartisan. And so my thing is, who has the resources and the desire to bring Fairburn to where it needs to be? That's my focus there. I don't have a problem with working with anybody, Democrats or Republicans. When you really start talking about the African American community and what really should happen for us, we should not be stronghold to one side. We really need to look at policies. We need to look at the resources. We need to look at their track record. for working and bringing change in minority and brown communities overall. And so it's just time for us to put on our good thinking caps and roll our sleeves back and have the courageous conversations with both sides, Dems and Republicans, about what measures are they going to take, not willing to take. What are you going to do to level the playing field for African American, minority, and those who are disadvantaged? That's the bottom line for me.
Okay. Well, I noticed down in Stockbridge that they just opened up a Costco down there, and they got a lot of stuff coming down there. Do you see something like that coming to Fairburn, or people ask for Trader Joe's? But, and tell me if I'm wrong, I often tell people that it's a survey is taken, and it's taken on what we as Black folks spend our money on. Could you kind of touch on that?
Well, it's fast foods, it's clothes, it's shoes, it's cars.
So
it's hair. It's hair.
So we ain't gonna spend our money. Some of us is not going to spend our money in the Trader Joe's or the fresh markets, the Costco's.
But Aldi, we will.
I just want to hear from you, because that question come up. Well, why can't we get this? Why can't we get this? And it's surveys is being taken. So I got a question. Blacks are consumers.
Mm-hmm. We are. And that makes us very vulnerable in a capitalistic economic structure.
Okay.
Because we're now being targeted for what we buy or what we consume. And so the real focus of what we need is never ever addressed at all.
So basically, if you saying that's all we do, if all I want to do is eat some fried chicken and eat me a hamburger, that's what we're gonna get. We not gonna get a white linen restaurant where I can throw the napkin across my lap.
And we can get that. And it goes back to Damita. We have to, I'm one of those councilwomen it's an educator in me. I really believe in pulling people together and having a conversation with them and showing them why you're not getting what you need, and what we have to do to get what we need. I believe so much in this city. I've knocked on the doors. I've talked to the people. First of all, I came from a place where I did not see Black people having this much. Let's talk about that, first of all.
Oh, yeah.
And so when I started knocking on doors and going to these communities and looking at these homes that Black people are living in, and Hispanic, and we have some Indian people in our community that's living here, it just made me feel so proud. And then when you look at the type of careers that are in Fairburn, we have surgeons, plastic surgeons, we have psychologists, we have educators, we have builders, developers, we have financial advisors and analysts, we have folks that work for CNN, we have people that have their own movie studios and things and businesses. And we have people that have franchises that drive out of this community every day and go to another city to work their business.
That's awesome. Because you just, back in the day, you didn't see that up north. You didn't see that in Chicago.
No, I did not see that in Chicago. And so to be amongst the percentage that we have here in Fairburn, and then here's the thing, we have loving people in Fairburn. All the people here are so sweet and loving.
Well, I ain't gonna let you talk about Fairburn like that, because we a little dysfunctional over here in Southwood sometimes. But I love my folks and we love it. Look, we finna wrap this thing up. I want you to give me your closing, because we down at the wire now. I can sit here and talk to you. I told you it's gonna have fun. Give me your closing, want the people to know, and give it to me in 2 minutes.
Well, what I want the people to know is that you have an advocate that believes in advancing our community. You have someone that really believes in community grassroots organizing and getting with the people to hearing your voice. See, I don't champion my own results. They come from the people, and I want to work with all of Fairburn to make sure we get it there. I don't want my peers, as I'm getting ready to make my transition up to city council with you, to take a opposition, take a collaborative focus, listen to what it is that I have to say, and I believe that we are going to be well. We're going to do great work together. You know, sometimes we got to get the naysayers out our ears. Absolutely. So that we can be clear about what the real focus is. And whether we like each other or not, I'm here to get the work. As they say, work. I'm here to get the work done because I'm excited about the results. And I know that it's not going to be easy. But guess what? I was born for this, Damita.
All right. Well, Samantha, I want to thank you for coming on today. We got about 2 minutes. I want to thank you for coming on, and we're going to get you on with some of your council peers after you get sworn in and get, get the lay of the land and come back and talk to the city of South Fulton, because you got some great people over there in the city of South Fulton and some great leaders that's on the council. I think they're great leaders. So again, thank you so much to the viewers. I want to thank you guys. We're coming down to the close of the year, coming back in January with a schedule, a lineup that you're going to like. I think you're going to love. I want you to have a safe holidays. Remember one thing, family first, nothing else matter. And Samantha, thank you so much. Enjoy yourself. Get ready. And I'm going to be watching you. So I want you to know when I come at you, if I see something, I don't want you to take it personal with. Just say okay and keep it moving. Again, this is your host, Damita Chatman, on Take a Stand. Thank you, Mrs. Hudson. Thank the producer. And thank the city of all 8 cities in the city in South Fulton. All 8 cities. I want the mayors and the councils to have a great holiday. Get ready to roll your sleeve up to come back in January, because we have a lot of work to do. We got redistricting that's going to be on the line, and the next show will be January 8th. Thank you so much, Samantha. Hold on for a few minutes so we can get a couple of pictures. Have a great day.